Hey friends, today we're working on a 2006 Trailblazer SS actually, and we're changing the tie rod end. Very simple job actually, not much to it. Of course, you start with your basics. You need a jack stand, jack. Luckily these are a full frame so you can jack them up that way. And then of course, once you got your wheels off, of course you need a torque wrench to tighten them. I use it to loosen them as well. 19mm impact makes that job a lot faster as well. And 19mm and a short extension is what I use. You don't have to have an extension, but it makes it easier. And then of course, once you got the wheel off, you got your tie rod here. Now what I did is I gave it a quick blast of paint so you can see kind of where the threads were. But a good way to do it is the new one. When you have the old one off, you just line them up, the threads, and then you screw this nut on as far as the other one is on there, and then you have a pretty close idea when you line them up. And you can always take a tape measure to the front and the rear of the wheels and compare them to either side with the wheel in the cab straight to give it a rough wheel alignment as well, just to be safe. But anyway, I use two crescent wrenches, put them on there like that, and then break it loose, which I did here already. And I got the grease gun here to grease in here for the new one, just so that we don't have to worry about that seizing in there. If all of a sudden in 5 years someone needs to change it again, they don't want it seized. Now typically what they've got is they've got a cotter pin in here, just like that, and you bend those tabs straight again and you pull it out. I use a needle nose pliers for that, which I guess I should add to my tools needed here. I didn't even need it for this one, but usually it's helpful. You unbolt that, and then at the top here we've got a 7/8 seems to fit. That was the one in my set that fit. And then you unscrew the top one there, and of course, like I said, impact makes that job a lot faster. And then just go like that, pull the old nut off, and then if it's difficult coming out, you just thread that nut back on a ways. Not that you care about messing up the threads anyway if you're going with a new one. And you just tap it with a hammer until it releases. And then of course, once you got it off, you just thread that nut off, pull it out the bottom, thread this one out, and very simple. So you thread the old one out. Like I said, you want to make sure this nut is pretty much where it started when you get it off, and then make sure they line up like that. You can cross them like that just to make sure that they are the same length on there, just to get a rough estimate. And this one here, I mean, it's just so ugly. It's not even that it's necessarily worn out, like it doesn't even feel that bad. But I figured, you know what, I changed the other side because it had some play in it. I would just go ahead and do the same with this one. And then, yeah, like I said, I'd put a little bit of grease on these threads here just to make sure they don't seize up in the future. And once you got it tightened back up again, I would encourage you, before you put that back in there, I would actually make sure it's tight up here. And then, you know, really, you can check your inner tie rod as well. You can wiggle this piece back and forth. You can kind of grab it now, but it's hard to tell if there's any play in it. You've got better grip, better leverage if you use that. But yeah, that's basically it. I would encourage you not to put grease in there. Make sure, of course, if it's supplied with a grease zerk, you put that in. This one actually had it installed already. The other side I had to screw it in, which is very easy to do. It's a 7mm wrench for this one. And I would encourage you not to grease it before you put it on, bolt it in place, and then just kind of feel these, and you just want to make sure that you can still push it in pretty easy, because if you put too much grease in there, it starts pushing out everywhere and just makes a big mess, and sometimes actually ruins these rubbers as well. So very simple process indeed. The only time it gets complicated is when, like I said, when these get seized up all of a sudden in there. That makes things a lot more difficult. Or up here too, I've seen it happen. But anyway, hope that helps somebody out. While we're in here, basic things here, of course, you got your upper control arm. These ball joints were new not long ago. Then you got your lower control arm with the ball joint right there. You can check all that. Typically the grease zerks are on top, which is the case here, but they are very dirty. It's right in there, but that grease zerk is very dirty, as you can see. But anyway, while you're in here, you might as well do all that. You might as well check all that. You got your sway bar bushings here. Your sway bar links are right here. And might as well check your brake pads and stuff. You can look in the slot for the back one. And then, of course, you can see the front brake pad kind of in there. Somebody painted these red, so we're going to refinish them with just a quick another coat of red before we put it all back together. But yeah, like I said, hopefully this helps somebody out.